and this faith journey has produced is peace and joy. And so, God, we enter your gates today with thanksgiving. We are thanking you that we are growing up in faith. We are thanking you that we are becoming and beholding and becoming change for the time we have spent in your presence. Hello. Good afternoon, y'all. Yes, I am in my car. Slight location change, but it doesn't matter. As you can see, we still have everything going well. We still have all the things, all the bells and whistles, right? Because that's the beauty of technology. We can get everything that we need. We get everything that we need right here in the space. So I am so happy to be with you. My name is Leonore Reynolds Jones, right? That's my name right there. Leonore Reynolds Jones. And I have the awesome privilege of being the proprietress of a wonderful kingdom enterprise called Legacy Builders. We do a bunch of things, lots of things, some really cool things, some really interesting things. But as the name of the company implies, we're really, really focused on legacy. And we understand, we know, we have established, we believe, we are telling you that legacy happens in partnership with Jesus. And that's why we're here today. We want to create spaces and places where you can encounter him, where you can be encouraged, where, you just get the benefits of being where he is. And then in doing so, you may decide to do life with him as well. So that's what we're here for. Today is Wednesday. It's right at noon. This is our Midday Manna broadcast. And what is Midday Manna? Midday Manna started now some 3 years ago almost, where I was doing a Bible study, as it was, on the children of Israel. And I was looking at manna. And I realized that manna only ever happened like one time. Yes, it was for a period of time, but there's only one record in the Bible of manna falling. That meant that manna was provision for a specific season. And so I thought to myself, what seasons are we in where we are looking for manna? Right? And that means that at some point you are going to receive supernatural provision for a season in your life. And I think that season where you receive supernatural provision is the season right before your promised land. And I think many of us have been trusting, hoping, believing God for things. And at the end of the day, we're still waiting. But slowly but surely, every day you go outside and you get just enough for that day. And then rinse and repeat. You go and you get just enough for that day. And then there are days, particularly over, those Sabbath hours, where you go and it's enough for 2 days. And it'll get you through those 2 days. And then you keep moving and you keep progressing. And eventually you realize that you come to the place where you've actually transitioned into the promised land. And what used to feed you, what used to represent provision, it's no longer the same. That's my testimony, guys. And that's really how Midday Manna came about, where I was getting just enough. And it transitioned. And really, I'll pick up the testimony there today, because if you can see the topic, my topic for today is my testimony. And I think it's so appropriate. And oftentimes you come and you stumble across things, you stumble across people, and you're like, well, why are you talking about this? What do you know about this? Why should I listen to you? Well, I am glad that you asked all of those questions. What do I know about it? I lived it. Why should I listen to you? Because I'm sharing my testimony, and maybe you might get something that you need to know. Why am I telling it to you? Because there are common experiences that we all face. My story might not match yours word for word, but there are pieces that will feel like if I am talking right at you, right about you. And I am sharing because I want you to take what you need from my story so that if I can shorten your journey, if I can shave time off your transition, if you can learn the lesson that it from me, then you don't have to go through what I went through to learn it. And that is why I am sharing. So having said all of that, I told you about midday manna. And so once I understood what manna was and my experience with that provision, God started telling me, so you need to begin to share the manna that I give you. And I'm like, okay, Jesus, I can do that. And so that has led me on now a 3-year journey where every Wednesday, I pretty much go before God and I'm like, all right, God, what do you want me to share with the people today? What do you want me to tell them? What you want me to, point? What do I want to talk about? And we've tackled some really beautiful and interesting things. We've talked about, I remember for a while there, we were in First Kings, and I believe we started all the way back at like verse 16, and we did a systematic, strategic, you know, thing from First Kings 16 all the way through 18, 19. And then for a while, like we were stuck in chapter 18 because we were at Carmel for a while. And there were so many of us who were at Carmel where we were at this showdown between us and between others, and we were standing for God, and we had the Carmel experience. Then before that, there was a time where we spent a summer, I think, almost on what we called the choice trust continuum. Y'all remember that, where we were talking about how every choice you make every day, it either pushes you closer or pushes the needle closer in terms of your trust in God, or it pulls it further away. And so faith is built one choice at a time. Trust is deepened one choice at a time. And we spent a great deal of time in that one. And if any of this sounds interesting to you, go on my YouTube page. They are all there. You search my name, Leonore Reynolds Jones, and on my YouTube page is all of this good stuff that I'm telling you about. So we go through and we talked about that. And then most recently, the one that we did was spiritual warfare, where, lots of times if you grow up in church, around church, spend some time with church people, everybody's always talking about spiritual warfare, but they don't tell you what it is. They don't clearly tell you what it is. They just tell you, they want to give you the Bible verses. Oh, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Yeah, that sounds great, but what does that mean? And so we spent some time like clearly defining it, talking about how do you engage in it, strategies. We had question and answer periods where I explained to you, I took your questions, I answered your questions. And for the record, let me just put a pause right here. I just want to encourage you that if you have a question, even if it's not on one of the topics that I've said, if you have a question about some topic from the Bible, some spiritual topic, and you stumble across this broadcast, or you clicked on the link, or you're watching on Facebook, or somebody sent it to you, and I say something, and they're like, sis, I have a question, or I don't agree, and whatever the case, please send me a message. I would love to just be able to give you clarity if I can, to point you in a direction. We can do a study. It might produce another study and another broadcast, and our discourse will, encourage someone else. But if you have a question and you do not feel like you have a place you can send it because your question is too small or too large, or you think you should know and you're not sure, I don't have any of those parameters. Ask your questions. You can send questions to info@legacybuilders.com. That's INFO, the @ Legacy Builders with a Z. So that's LEGACY BUILDERZ.com. Info@legacybuilders.com. You go there, you submit your questions, and once you submit your questions, I will do my best to, number one, go to God, right? Because I don't want you to have my wisdom. I want you to have the wisdom that does not pass away. So I am going to go to God on your behalf. Then I'm going to go to the Bible. The Bible is my authority book. I believe in the Bible. I believe in Jesus. I'm not here to argue about what belongs and what doesn't belong. And, they have more ancient texts and And I'm not even arguing you about whether or not Christianity is a white man. I'm not here for any of that. I am Black. The God I serve is Black. So I'm not even worried about none of that. But what I'm telling you is my authority book, the book that I have chosen to live my life based off of, is the Bible. So if you come to me with questions, your answers will come from the book upon which I have built my life. If those are not the answers you are seeking, I am not the person to ask questions to. Fair? Fair enough. So get off. Let's press play again on this thing. And so we talked about like spiritual warfare and all the stuff about how, what it was and all the things that I said. And then we came to the end of that spiritual warfare thing. And the last topic we covered on the spiritual warfare was rest. And I talked about the importance of rest in any spiritual warfare engagement. And we often, I think, minimize the importance of rest. And so I'm not going to revisit that message, but it brought me right to where I am today, right? And why I'm giving you like an updated testimony today, because a part of the reason I focused on rest was that I went on vacation for a couple of weeks there in the month of April. And I really thought that I was going to be able to do all the broadcasting, all of that. I really thought I was going to be able to do all of that, no problems. I took my laptop, I kind of have a little portable studio. I have this little camera that I take and all this stuff. And I just knew I was going to be able to do that. And so I go and I pack all my stuff up and I go. And the first thing, I'm at the hotel and the internet is terrible, guys. When I tell you terrible, and then and so that's not a thing, because right now I'm coming to you from my phone. Do you understand? I don't know what's going on with my phone, but my phone would not connect to the network. Legitimately, ladies and gentlemen, there was an entire week that I didn't even get text messages. And so once I left that area, checked out of that hotel, went to a different area and went to a different place to stay. Once we got there, literally my phone started and all the notifications that I had been missing that entire week came through. And I was like, okay. So then the next week, I'm like, okay, I'm in a better place, a better situation. Wouldn't you know, that day, I had a family something that was really important that I had to do. And of course, the time that I thought it would take, it ran over, and I ended up not even making it back to my little office or being in a place that was private enough for me to go live. And I was like, what? And so I come back and I'm talking, and I had a rest, but it wasn't a planned rest. It wasn't intentional. And so I come back, I do the one about rest. And guys, I don't know how else to say it, but unsettled. I came back and I was unsettled. I felt like I've been waiting for the other shoe to drop. And it's not a bad feeling. So can we differentiate between that? Can we talk about, and I'm just putting another pin, can we talk about these gut feelings, these instincts, and how to, process through them and get to the root of it? And at first, at minimum, you should be able to determine, is this a negative feeling or a positive feeling? So I'm telling you, I came, I did what I was supposed to do, and I came back and I just have this feeling. The best thing I can call is, and it's not like heaviness, it's just like a big question mark, literally. And as I probe around, what's this just conundrum that I sense in myself is it's not like I don't feel like something is bad's happening. I feel something is happening. I sense the transition. It doesn't feel like something bad, but I don't know what it is. More than that, everything else feels cloudy. So, like, there's this one area that of my life where I just knew I was doing the right thing and I was taking all the right steps. And all of a sudden, those steps don't seem so sure anymore. And then I pick another area and this one don't seem so sure anymore. And so I'm like, but it doesn't feel, again, this is not a negative feeling, right? So on pause, it's not a negative feeling. And I'm like, okay, so what do I do? Guys, so I go to God and I'm like, my initial prayer was, God, help me to see what's going on. Do you know the first thing God showed me in answer to that prayer? God showed me that this was a repeat. God showed me that I was at the beginning of what could be a continuing perpetual cycle. You're like, what? I'm telling y'all, guys, this is like, we ain't talking last week. We're talking, this is my present testimony. And I was like, what? And my one of my girlfriends, if she's on here, she can tell y'all, where I was like, I was on the phone with her and I realized last year, this time, I was in this space and I had the feeling, and last year I didn't probe it. So here's for growth, understanding, and doing what you preach, doing what you teach. So I probed it, and last year I can't say I didn't probe it. I probed it, and I saw it wasn't bad, but I didn't like the unknown, and I jumped to a conclusion. That's the truth. It wasn't so much that I didn't probe it, because I'm very self-aware, very much a reflective person. So I pretty much do actually spend time like just, oh, why do I feel this way? That's almost my default. But I did probe it, and because of the discomfort, I jumped to a conclusion and made decisions to fix it. Let me tell you the thing though. By the end of the year, the steps that I had taken to fix it, I had to walk away from all of it. I'm just telling y'all the truth. How many of you have been there that you had this feeling? It's a big question mark. You don't know what it becomes, and you go to God, and you don't feel like, honestly, if I'm honest, he's answering right away. And so you go and you're like, well, I think I know what it is, and this is the solution I can come up with to fix it. So I'm gonna fix it. Y'all, if I'm talking only to me, that's fine, but I'm just being honest on the people's Facebook that I last year I did that. I did not sit as long as I should have. I'm going to be honest. And I did some stuff and made some changes and signed up for this and signed up for that. And by the end of the year, I was walking away from all of it. Do you know why I walked away? Because none of it produced what I thought it was. I realized that my solution, even though on paper it looked like a solution, it was a delay. It was robbing me of more important things like my time, like my mental space. It was interrupting my peace. And I had to, and I didn't sit still last year. I didn't just probe and keep praying and wait for God. I was like, nope, I'm going to do this. And I did it, and it worked out. And I was like, oh, look at the Lord giving me the answer. And because it worked out, I was like, oh, this has to be God. And then I get to the end of last year and I was like, yeah, no, that was Lenore. And so so God showed me. When I prayed this year, the first thing I was like, God, help me to see. And the first thing he showed me was that I was at the beginning of what could be a cycle. So I want you guys to learn how to realize if you are at the beginning of a cycle. Ask God, this feeling that I'm having, this thing that I'm going through, God, show me what I'm not seeing. And if he shows you that you've been here before, believe him. So once God showed me that I had been here before, I was like, well, boo boo the fool, I am not. I am going to sit down. I am not going to do what I did last year. I am not going to manipulate the facts. I am not going to, squeeze and massage them until I come up with what I think is a workable solution. I am going to sit in this uncomfortable space of unknown until God tells me what I need to see, until He makes it clear. I am going to wait on Jesus. Guys, that was last week. All last week passed. Nothing. And what's interesting is that all last week passed and I started seeing like little doors open. So I started having meetings and conversations with people. Sorry, of course the phone started ringing right there, right? I started having meetings and conversations with people that I thought would immediately produce answers, and they did not. So I still had to sit. And I was like, all right, Jesus, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to wait. I'm going to figure it out because I don't necessarily know what's happening. And so, but I did not make any decisions, move forward. Fast forward to yesterday, guys, and I had a conversation that literally blew my mind. It wrecked my paradigm of what I thought I knew, what I thought was possible, and it brought so much clarity to so many different areas that I literally can't even explain to y'all all of the clarity I received. Like I was just like, dear Jesus, like honestly, I don't even know what to do with it at this point. And so I'm here and I'm telling you about it because I want you to hear me right now. And this is as much as for y'all as it is for me, because the idea is, right, guys, that I was like, okay, so now I feel like I have answers. I feel like, it's crystal clear. I know exactly what you want me to do. Y'all, I'm still not moving. You know what I'm going back to ask him now? When? God, when do you want me to implement this? When do you want it to happen? Is this a right now? Should I keep going with what I have? Or when do I add this to the mix? When do I move forward? And then if he says now, I literally remember Marshawn Evans Daniels. She did I think a master class on supernatural vision, and she said with the vision comes provision. And so I'm like, not only is it when, it's God, I'm gonna take some steps, but and I'm not putting blockages on God, but I am saying, God, if the provision does not meet what you have revealed, I'm gonna wait until it does. I am in no rush to execute what God has shown me. My job is actually not to execute. My job is to steward the vision. And so, you know what I spent the last couple hours doing? Last night, I was up real late. First thing this morning, I was doing it again. I was taking notes. And you know what was so interesting about this experience? I literally took notes, and I've taken notes strategically every time I felt like God has said something. Literally, this outpouring, this explanation, this big picture of clarity that he gave me, it tied together all the other notes. So I got notes from this, notes from that, notes from like all the notes, guys. Everything that I was like, I have this, and I feel like you're saying this, God. God literally tied together notes for things that I didn't even know were a part of the plan. There is so much clarity. And even with all of that, new Lenore sitting before you today is going to be like, okay, God, when? And then I'm going to wait. I need you guys to understand that waiting on God isn't just waiting for the promise to fulfill. Mature waiting sometimes look like waiting for the right time. And that is like, and I'm going to have to end it there, guys. You know why I have to end it there? Because I'm still waiting. I don't have anything else to add for y'all. So I'm going to end this broadcast right there. That is my testimony. I saw where I was. I went. He answered. He gave me revelation beyond what I thought was possible. And now I'm waiting. So at this point, we're going to call this TBD, TBC, to be continued, to be determined. And I think that's going to be like the hashtag for right now, because we're TBD. But I'll tell you one thing that I know I'm going to do while I wait. While I wait, I am going to begin to seed the atmosphere with what I want to see. And you're like, sis, what you talking about? I'm so glad you asked me. I'm talking about the May Declarations Challenge, guys. Your words are seeds. The Bible says life and death are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. There are things you are experiencing presently in your life because you said it so much that you spoke it. And I'm not talking about this whole manifest. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, the reality of you're like, when I grow up, I'm going to be, and then you took the steps, but you spoke it so much that your brain automatically created a framework for this to be accomplished. I'm going to be a business owner. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to, live and not die. I'm going to be healed. I'm not going to experience this pain anymore. I'm going to be the first one in my family. You spoke it, and then it happened. And sometimes we speak negatively, this person get on my last nerve. And so now when you see them, every time you get a headache and you wondering why you get, because you said that they get on your nerves. But we are very trivial with our words. And so a long time ago, God was like, I need you to watch your words. You can't just be throwing them out there. Words are dumb. They don't know you're joking. They're seeds. Wherever you sprinkle it, it's gonna grow. It's not gonna be like, oh, this isn't the best soil, or I'm a palm tree and in a date grove. No, it's not gonna not grow. It's going to grow wherever you throw it. And so I am going to be intentional while I wait about the words that I speak. And it just so happens that beginning May 1st, I have this challenge called the May Declarations Challenge. You can go to my website and learn more about it. Or if you follow me on social media, the link is in my bio. You go and you simply click May Declarations Challenge. That'll take you straight to my website. You can sign up there on the website and you will get all the emails and all the stuff. But beginning May, we will start seeding the atmosphere in preparation for what God will do. And I just want to invite you to do that. Like if this touched you, if it made sense to you, if it's like, okay, I got it, that's what I want, then I just encourage you. Join me for the May Declarations Challenge. I thank you guys so much for joining me today. I thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule. I hope my testimony encouraged you. I hope it challenged you in a certain way. I hope it gave you some direction. And I hope and pray that your latter, that is the latter half of your day, is greater than the beginning. Bye-bye.
and this faith journey has produced is peace and joy. And so, God, we enter your gates today with thanksgiving. We are thanking you that we are growing up in faith. We are thanking you that we are becoming and beholding and becoming changed for the time we have spent in your presence.